Today we are starting our new unit on modeling. We are going to review linear functions. Today we're going to review the properties of lines to include slope, y-intercept, x-intercept, slope-intercept, and general forms of lines. So remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Slope is the m, it's the coefficient of x, so there's our slope right there. The y-intercept is this number here, so that's 0b. It's where it crosses the y-axis. And standard form is ax plus by equals c. So now let's work on a worksheet here. It says, write the following equations in slope-intercept form by solving the equation for y. Give the slope, y-intercept, x-intercept, and graph a line on the coordinate axis provided. So we need to solve for y, so we're going to subtract x. And we get y equals negative x plus 5. So filling in our values, slope-intercept form is y equals negative x plus 5. Our slope is negative 1. Our y-intercept is 5. To find our x-intercept, what we can do is we can plug in 0 for the y value. For our y-intercept, we plug 0 in for the x value, or it was just the value that was right here. Remember, we covered up the value. If we covered up the x, y was equal to 5. If we covered up the y, x is equal to 5. So the x-intercept is going to be 5. Because if I plug in 0 here, I get negative x plus 5. So then if I add x, I get x equals 5. So plotting these values, our x-intercept and y-intercept are both at 5. And our slope is negative 1. So that's down 1, forward 1. So that's down, forward, down, forward, down, forward. And we can connect the dots from there. And there would be our line. Here's a second example. We want to get this in slope-intercept form first. So we're going to subtract 2x. And we're left with 4y is equal to negative 2x plus 8. And now we need to divide by 4. And all three pieces have to be divided by 4. So I get y equals, and then over here, negative 2 over 4 is really negative 1 half x, and 8 over 4 is really 2. So there's the trick that we just used. It's called distributive properties. We have to divide the 2 by 4 and the 8 by 4, and then I reduce my fraction. So slope-intercept form is y equals negative 1 half x plus 2. So our slope is negative 1 half, and our y-intercept is 2. To find our x-intercept, we're going to plug in 0 for y. Or we could just look up at our formula up here in standard form. If I'm going to plug 0 in for y, that means this is going to be a 0. 4 times 0 is 0. So 2 times what is 8? So I'm thinking of covering this up because it's a 0. So 2 times 4 is 8. So our x-intercept is 4. So if I plot my points, my y-intercept is 2. My x-intercept is 4. And if I apply my slope, that's down 1, forward 2, down 1, forward 2. Or I could go up 1, back 2, because up 1, back 2 is the same thing as 1, negative 2, and those two slopes are the same. And then we just connect our dots, and there is our line. Try number 3 on your own. Please pause the video until everybody is finished. So here's what I have so far. I'm going to add 3x to both sides, and then divide by 3 to get y by itself. Using distributive property, 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Y equals x plus 2. So the slope is a 1, which is the same thing as 1 over 1, or negative 1 over negative 1. And my y-intercept is 2. Now I need to find my x-intercept. So to find my x-intercept, I'm going to plug in 0 for y. So I'm going to go back up to standard form. So I'm going to change my y into a 0. So 3 times 0 turns into a 0. So then this one disappears, or it just becomes a 0. So we're visualizing negative 3 times what is 6. Negative 3 times what is 6? Negative 2. So our x-intercept is at negative 2, and our y-intercept is at positive 2. If we want to apply the slope, that's positive 1, up, 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 forward, and then there's my line. Double checking that it has a positive slope and it starts at positive 2. Try number 4 on your own. Please pause the video until everybody is finished. So here's what we have. We're going to add x to both sides, trying to get the y by itself. Divide by 2. So then I'm left with a 1/2 and a 4. So y equals 1/2 x plus 4. Our slope is 1/2, which is equivalent to negative 1 over negative 2. And our y-intercept is 4. That's our b value. So to find our x-intercept, we have to plug in 0 for y. So then what we're going to do is we're going to go up to our standard form, and we're going to plug in 0 for y. So 2 times 0 is 0. So this whole thing turns into a 0. So we get negative x equals 8. Well, if negative x is equal to 8, what is positive x equal to? Yep, you got it, negative 8. So our x-intercept is negative 8. So there's our x-intercept. There's our y-intercept. Our slope is up 1, forward 2, up 1, forward 2, up 1, forward 2. And then we can connect the dots. Try number 5. Please pause the video while they work. Write each equation in slope-intercept form, find the slope and y-intercept, and use these values to graph. So we're going to subtract 2x first, and that gives us a positive 4x minus 2x, which gives us 2x, and the positive 3 goes at the end. Y equals 2x plus 3. So our slope is the coefficient of x, which is 2. It is equivalent to 2 over 1, or negative 2 over negative 1. And our y-intercept is 3. So when we're graphing, we say, where do we start? So we start on the y-axis at positive 3. And then I'm going to apply my slope. So that's up to forward 1, up to forward 1. Or we could use the other slope and go down to backwards 1. Down to backwards 1. So the minimum number of points you need is 3. And then go ahead and connect your dots. Let's sum it up. Stephen had some money in a savings account and decided he needed to start saving up for a computer. On his first week of saving, he had $150. On his fourth week of saving, he had $225. So I come up with the coordinate 1, 150, 4, 225. What is the equation in slope-intercept form? Well, if I'm given 2 points and I have to write an equation, I know I need an m and I need a b value. Given 2 points, I can calculate the slope. The formula for slope, if you remember, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which is rise over run. So we're going to do our y values first. So I'm going to do 225 minus 150. So if I started with a 225, then I need to start with the 4. 4 minus 1. So that gives me 75 divided by 3, which is equivalent to 25. So I know my equation is y equals 25x and then something. So I have to find that other something. So if you remember back to semester 1, we had this equation called point-slope form, where here's our slope and then there is a point also. So which point do you guys like, the first point or the second point? I'm going to pick the first point just because the numbers are smaller. So this is going to be my x, and this will be my y, and then this, of course, is my m. So we have y minus 150 equals 25 times x minus 1. And now we just have to solve this equation and simplify. So I'm going to distribute first. (25x minus 25). So now our last step in getting y by itself is to add 150 to both sides. So I get y equals 25x plus 125. So this is going to be our equation, and just like we anticipated, it's going to have the 25x as our slope in there. The next question says, how much was Stephen putting in per month? So how much did he put in per month? Did he put in $25 or $125? The other question is, how much did he start with? So I would say he started with $125 because that only happens one time, and he gets $25 times the number of months. So that's going to be his rate. This will be some of the things that you'll be doing on your worksheet for today. So let's go through another example similar to this. Given 2 points, find the slope and point slope form. So here's that point slope form that we were talking about. Given 2 points, we can calculate the slope. So we want rise over run. So if I start 5 minus a minus, so 5 minus a minus 10 over negative 3 minus a positive 2. So that gives me 15 over negative 5, which reduces to negative 3. So that's the first question. What is the slope? Negative 3. So let's pick a point. Do you like the first point or the second point? We'll just pick the first one. So we get y minus y1, so that's going to be the 5, equals our slope times x minus, and this should be an x sub 1. So that's going to be x minus a minus 3, because we have a negative 3 in there. So this one says, put it in point slope form, so we would be done. Otherwise, if it says slope intercept form, you would have to distribute the negative 3 and then add 5 at the end. So this would be the solution if you had to go into slope intercept form. Another thing we should practice today is writing in standard form. Ax plus by equals c. So this is in point slope form, so we need to distribute. And we need our x and our y on the same side. So I need to move my 4 over. So I'm going to move it by adding. So that's a 4x plus y, and then I still have that 5 over there. So my last step is going to be to add 5 to both sides. So the 4x plus y is on one side, and then 8 plus 5 is 13. So there is our equation written in standard form. So here's the last question in your notes. Given the point 2, 3, and 3, 5, find the x and y intercepts by using the cover-up method and graph. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually calculate the slope using these 2 points, and because I already have them graphed, we can count the slope. So rise is up 2, and my run is forward 1. So my slope is up 2 over 1. So we have a slope of 2. So if I continue with that slope, down to forward 1, down to forward 1, down to forward 1, this is where I end up. So it looks like my y-intercept, remember this is my y-axis, is negative 1, and my x-intercept, if I connect my dots, is going to be somewhere in here. So I'm going to approximate that at about 1/2. So to do your worksheet, please reference your textbook in Chapter 5, Lesson 5.3 and 5.4. We're looking at pages 307 or 315, somewhere in there to help you. Otherwise, your notes should get you through everything. For numbers 6 and 7 on the worksheet, remember parallel lines mean that they have the same slope. So parallel means that they have the same slope. So you're still going to have the negative 3/2 for the slope. And perpendicular in question number 7 means that they're going to be negative reciprocals. So if the slope of this line is 1/4, the negative reciprocal would be positive 1/4. So for number 6, you're going to use a slope of negative 3/2, and for number 7, you're going to use a slope of positive 1/4. You'll have to remember those rules for number 11 on the back side of the worksheet. Remember, parallel means the same, and perpendicular means negative reciprocal. This completes my lesson. Please make sure you finish your worksheets for tomorrow. Remember, look in your textbook if you don't know how to do something, or ask a neighbor. Have a good day.